Thank you for staying with us, and a warm welcome to those who've just joined us. Now, mop-up operations are continuing in the Vaal area as hundreds of residents remain displaced. Devastating floods ravaged the area a few days ago. Floodgates were opened at the Vaal Dam, resulting in flooding, which saw homes washed away or submerged. Residents want the area to be declared a disaster zone. Now, eNCA's Manqoba Mchunu is on the ground, and he joins us now live for an update on the latest. Manqoba, I imagine that these residents, after a couple of days of having no access to their homes, are growing increasingly frustrated?
Well, certainly, Masiho, and in fact, I can tell you that there's a lot of anxiety here on the ground, and of course, many of them are still quite upset at the fact that they couldn't get to their houses all along. In fact, I think this is the first time that some of these residents are getting into their houses to see the level of destruction that has occurred in their houses. But the remnants of that flooding are still visible here, Masiho. I think you can see just here on the ground, the ground is still quite muddy, and just trying to walk here, one would need to wear boots to try and access this particular area. You can also see that there's still water that's covering some of the land here, and of course many of the houses here, Masiho, were submerged in water, some of them completely underwater, and that's what made it hard for these homeowners to come back to their homes. Of course, many of them had to evacuate their homes at the time when this flood had hit the area, and there have been many of them that have been displaced, Masiho, as a result of this flood. And for the first time, some of them are, of course, coming here to assess the damage, to see what has been damaged in their homes. And this is just one of the homesteads, Masiho, that was affected by this flooding. You can see there the owners getting back and trying to salvage whatever they can. But I can tell you, Masiho, there's little to salvage here due to the amount of destruction and, the devastation that took place here. And I'm just going to go inside the house, Masiho, just to give you a sense of what is happening inside the houses. Of course, they are also drenched in mud, and some of them still have water inside the houses. But just to see the destruction, Masiho, that happened here in these houses, this is one of the homestead. Of course, as you can see, Masiho, it's still quite drenched. It's wet with mud, and we saw, the owners also coming here today just to try and salvage some of the things that are left in the house. There are walls that have been destroyed here, Masiho, as a result of the water. They were pushed by the water, and you can still see the evidence of that flooding, Masiho, that happened here. The water has, gone down a bit, but you can still see the water from the Vaal River not far from here. In fact, you understand that the gardens are still drenched in water. They're still covered in water. So this is what many of the homeowners are dealing with, the aftermath of that flood and the destruction that has occurred. Many of the people, of course, here have lost everything, and they're still worried, Masiho, given the fact that these floodgates are still open at the Vaal Dam to release the pressure. So many are still uncertain whether they are going to see a return of the flooding here in this area. But I want to bring in one of the residents here just to speak to us and get a sense of the devastation here. Thank you very much, Leon, for speaking to us. I'm sure that you're still trying to assess the damage that occurred here, but so far, how are things looking?
Well, I can tell you it's devastating. There's absolutely not much to salvage, maybe glasses and stuff, but everything, electrical equipment, there's nothing left. There's just nothing. Absolutely nothing left.
So, Leon, what happened on Saturday? Were you here when the flood waters came? What happened really? What was it like?
Yeah, we were here. The first flood came more or less about 6 o'clock that morning. And my brother-in-law just stays a couple of houses down. And his house was infected, and we started moving his stuff out. And then further down to the roadside, there's a low-lying area, and those guys were infected, and we started to help them. And more or less around 2 o'clock, when we got home, the water level was right here by the step. And then, I would say in 10 minutes' time, it was all over. It was all over. There is not much to salvage. We couldn't salvage much.
And Leon, in terms of, where are you now? We know that many people here had to evacuate their homes. What's happening now? Where are you staying with your family?
Well, we're staying here in a workshop not far from here, probably about a kilometre from here that we stay. That's all right, but that's home now. Further on, I don't know what we're going to do. I've got no idea.
Are you getting any assistance? Are you getting any food? Is there anybody assisting you? I know that the locals, the community has gathered together to try and help those that have been affected.
Not that I know of. I didn't receive anything at the moment. But we're okay. We got money and we got food. But we're all right.
So seeing what you're seeing here today, does it give you any hope? Or do you want to be relocated? Do you want to move from here? What does it say to you? What's going to happen going forward?
Well, I think I'm going to move. I have to. It's just going to cost too much if nobody comes and help. Financially, we are moving. We have to.
Okay. I can see that you're quite emotional about it as well. This is your livelihood that has been affected here.
That's correct. Our pension was put in here. And the last bit of money that we had, we put in this house. And that's it. That's what's left.
Okay. Thank you for speaking to us, Leon Gous. Well, we understand, how you feel just looking at what is happening here, Masigo. Many people, of course, are emotional just seeing their houses in the state they are in. These, were their investments. These were their homes and their livelihoods that have been destroyed by this flood. And, of course, the question now is what happens to those that are displaced? Many of them remain in those, with their relatives, and some of them are staying at the caravans not so far from here, sleeping in their vehicles. They have nowhere else to go. So they are now, just seeking answers and clarity as to what is the next step, as many of them have lost it all.